What's up, JEFusion fans? This is Philip and welcome back to another video. So, Kamen Rider Zetz has already begun, and as you might know, so it's the very first Kamen Rider that would be simulcast worldwide. So, probably as of this video, like Tokushoutsu has probably already uploaded the first episode of Kamen Rider Zetz on YouTube. I'm not sure if there's gonna be like voice acting or if they're just releasing it with subtitles, but either way, it is the very first Kamen Rider series available internationally, more or less at the same time as the Japanese broadcast. So it's a really exciting time to be a tokusatsu fan, and if you're really wanting to get your friends into this franchise, then I think Kamen Rider Zetz is a great start. Now, for this video, I'm gonna talk about my reaction and what I think of the first episode, and I actually want to talk in detail about Kamen Rider Zetz episode 1, so just to be safe, I want to make sure that you guys watch the first episode before coming to this video because there are going to be some spoilers. And yeah, again, I want to talk about this show or this episode rather in detail. So, again, just to be safe, there are going to be some spoilers ahead. So, make sure you get to watch the first episode of Kamen Rider Zetz before we continue. Otherwise, enjoy. So, of course, we're gonna have to start with our main character, Baku Yorozu. And we immediately start this episode with his dream when he saves Nemu. So, we already have seen this in promotional videos, so it basically plays out the same way as you would expect. Now, he does save the girl, but before he gets a smooch off of her, he's suddenly woken up by his sister, Minami. And well, considering Baku, he's actually jobless. So, yeah, his younger sister is the one providing for him. So he decides to, of course, go get a job. And considering Baku's personality, like he actually wants a job that can help, that basically helps people. He wants something like that. But things take a quick turn. So he's looking for a job, right? And there is a girl outside of like the office, or rather, that employment agency where Baku tries to find work. But some guy tries to take the girl away, and Baku realizes that, oh no, they're not related. So this could be a kidnapping case, especially when a woman comes looking for a girl named Kaide, which is the little girl that Baku was, trying to play games with. Like he's just trying to make her laugh. He's trying to make her happy, just to, and he was just genuinely trying to entertain her, being a good guy that he is. So realizing that he could potentially stop a kidnapping case, he tries to go after them, but bad things happen every time Baku tries to do a good thing. And that is basically, the entire plot of, or rather, that is Baku's story. He's a good guy, but bad things happen to him every time he tries to help someone. But thanks to this, so, or because of this, now we do see that he kind of indirectly stops the kidnapping. So the bad guy actually runs away, leaves the girl, and the mother actually gets to her safely. Now we do see it a bit from a distance, but yeah. So the girl ends up safe, and Baku, however, isn't, but he is alive. So that's at least that's the least of our worries, though. Of course, you can't have another Tenkuji Takeru moment, right? But yeah. So while Baku is recovering, so in his dreams, so he is basically attacked by a nightmare. So this is where he's suddenly pulled into his subconscious, where he meets Agent Zero, giving him the Zetz driver. And he transforms into Kamen Rider Zetz. He defeats the monster, and everything is hunky dory again. So that's basically the entire plot of episode 1. Now, let's talk about some details. So we go back to the first scene where Baku tries to save Nemu from bad guys. So it plays out like your typical like action movie where a secret agent saves a hostage or like a kidnapped person, and of course it plays out like you would expect from an action movie. So hero beats up all the bad guys by himself, saves the girl, and whatnot. But interesting details appear. So we can see that in his agent mode, Baku uses a sort of like vintage pistol. Um, so of course, every time he fires it, like the bullet cartridge or bullet case pops out, and we can see like on those cases, like it's shown in slow motion, like you would see the names of the actors written on there, at least for Baku and Nemu. And then of course, like a gunfight happens and bullet holes appear, and you can see the names of the other actors written in on the bullet holes and things like that. So it's a really nice touch, and again, great use of CGI there. But again, so the action is quite nice. Considering that this is a dream sequence, especially for Baku, we do see that, um, you know, things go like more like a Matrix movie than like a James Bond film, if you will. So, yeah, but again, the action is nice, and considering, again, this is a dream sequence, it is a lot less realistic than you would hope, but it is entertaining to see nonetheless. So, especially when Baku transforms into Zetz for the first time. Now, we do see Zetz, so in his physicum form, right? So he basically is stronger, faster, and more, durable than just as a normal human being. And even though it is his dream and he's able to control most of its aspects, so basically Baku has the ability of lucid dreaming. So he can remember his dreams clearly. He is conscious of what happens, and he can control certain aspects of his dream. So again, it plays into Kamen Rider Zetz's powers. However, when it comes to fighting the nightmares, so we do see like Baku as a normal human being, even though he calls himself the invincible agent. So normal human attacks and his firearm doesn't really work on nightmares. So this is where Kamen Rider Zetz comes in. Now, Kamen Rider Zetz in his physicum form does show like abilities that, again, in a dreamlike state, it allows him to do many things that actually like even other Kamen Riders weren't able to do, like manipulate their surroundings and stuff, or suddenly trying to reverse enemy attacks. I do think that even in physicum form, like if Baku uses his abilities correctly, I don't think that the other forms are necessary. Maybe it just makes him, they're useful in situations, but again, when it comes to just like fighting, physicum form is, I think, more than enough. But that's just my personal take. So who knows? One of uh, his forms, the green one. I forgot the name of the green form, but it does allow Baku to like repair things. So considering that the nightmares, uh, like they do appear in dreams, but they can also affect things in real life. So let's say a building gets destroyed in Baku's dream while he's fighting uh, one of those nightmares, for example. That building could also be destroyed in real life. Like suddenly there's an explosion, suddenly this building is damaged, like even though nobody sees what's really happening, but thanks to this green form, so he's able to repair damaged things inside of the dream, and therefore by extension they also get repaired in real life. So I think that is a convenient ability to have. But again, like the ability to change your height and size like Ant-Man, so there's another form for that. um I'm not sure if Baku can use that ability, even though in physical form. But again, considering it's a lucid dream, so you can control aspects of that, right? So if Baku can just imagine himself becoming bigger or smaller depending on the situation, even in physical form, uh, I think that is a possibility. But maybe, of course, this is a show that's meant to market other forms in the form of toys. So there is a specific form that should allow him to do things again. So I could understand, but uh, you know if physical form can do anything, if you use your lucid dreaming abilities to great effect, again, I think physical form is enough, but that's just me. Now, we also, of course, see the other characters. Minami is definitely going to play a big role in this show as, some sort of support for her brother. And Nemu is going to be everywhere, right? Anytime Baku dreams of something, Nemu is also going to be there. So again, considering that this is a Yuya Takahashi directed Kamen Rider show, or rather, Yuya Takahashi written show, I think I've said this before, but I will say this again. Nemu is someone who, you know, is more than meets the eye. She could potentially have the same abilities as Baku. She could probably, have lucid dreams and control aspects of it if necessary. But we are yet to see more of Nemu here. So again, Nemu, I think, is going to be a very important character, and I can't wait to see what else she can offer. But as far as the female characters are concerned, so one of the female characters introduced as well, so Nasuka Nagumo, aka Kamen Rider Lopo from like 2-3 years ago. So yes, again, Onuki is back in the Kamen Rider franchise, again in another Yuya Takahashi written show. So I think she's going to be an interesting character because she is a police officer, as I've mentioned, and as she was introduced way back. So she is assigned to a special division or a special unit that investigates these nightmare cases specifically. But of course, she states that we police officers have to investigate things that are realistic. But again, uh, considering that they are specifically handling nightmare involved cases, so she learns that not everything is as it seems. Reality, there's more to reality than that, or at least what we see from the audience perspective. So these characters, of course, like her like superior, is also again involved in this. So we see them investigate these cases together, and how they're going to be involved is also something interesting to watch. And another character, Nox. So Nox is going to be, well, we do see him as some sort of a villain, but there is a leaked image that was shown, and Nox also has what looks like a Zetz driver on his chest, and he is going to transform into, well, it does look like a Zetz driver. It may not be necessary that he transforms into another Kamen Rider right away. This could at least be comparable to characters like Chase and Spanner, right? So both of these characters have rider-like forms or pseudo-rider-like forms before they actually become Kamen Riders. So again, Chase becomes Machine Chaser, and later on becomes Kamen Rider Chaser. So Spanner transforms into Valvarad and later becomes Kamen Rider Valvarad. So we can see Nox transforming into, again, like a pseudo rider or a rider-like form, even though he is using what looks like a similar device to, the Zetz driver, and then later on he becomes Kamen Rider Zetz. But that name is not yet confirmed, but we have seen but there was a leaked image of a white Kamen Rider with orange stripes. Considering that we also see Nox using a sword with a similar coloration. Actually, it was shown in one of the earlier teasers. So we could probably see again. So we do know Kamen Rider Zetz, tentative name, but there could also be, again, like a proto or like a rider-like form for him before he becomes Kamen Rider Zetz. So yeah, that's a very exciting thing. Overall, I think, Kamen Rider does show a lot of, Kamen Rider Zetz, to be precise, shows a lot of potential. Again, this is the first episode, and of course we are focused on basically like getting to know the characters and the setting of this world. In comparison to Kamen Rider Gav's first episode, for example, well, we do see a lot of elements that again make sense, like Baku in his dream sequences, like he suddenly jumps from one place to another in the blink of an eye, or things like that. But I would say if I compare the first episode of Kamen Rider Zetz to Kamen Rider Gav, Gav seems a bit more interesting considering the premise and the character, but I would say Zetz, for what it is and what it offers, it is solid in my opinion. Again, I just think Gav's first episode personally is more interesting, but again, it is still a solid show. Overall, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. It's not as like grandiose, I would say. There's nothing really, you could say, mind-blowingly new. Again, the concept of being fighting inside Dream is definitely a fresh concept, and again, like, the CGI is used quite nicely to convey the concept. Like, we see, for example, Kamen Rider Zetz like manipulating the ground to pull the enemies closer, or like blocking attacks. Again, it makes sense. It is executed well, but not like, wow, I've never seen anything like this before. So like that, I didn't feel anything like that personally. But again, overall, Kamen Rider Zetz, solid show. Like, the first episode is solid and very, very enjoyable. And yeah, I am honestly looking forward to the next mission. So with that said, again, it's gonna be a 4 out of 5 for me, but really good episode in my opinion. So that's my take on Kamen Rider Zet's first episode. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please do leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JEFusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next mission. Mission complete.